Hello, I am Mayor Steve Dalina. I'd like to welcome you to the Monroe Township Mayor's Show. It's just going to spend a little bit of time discussing some of the topics and activities going on in the town. In particular, I think there's a very exciting endeavor. It is the update and the rollout for the master plan. This is something that I think it's a very exciting time here in Monroe Township to be part of that process. For me, it was very instrumental in rolling out the master plan at this time, because I think what you're seeing with Monroe Township is the snapshot of what we have and then what we would like to see. And that's kind of what the blueprint, that's what the master plan blueprint does. When I was elected for a third term on the council, it was in conjunction with our former mayor, Jerry Tamburo, that he assigned me to chair the master plan rollout, the update to it, again, which I was very excited. Well, we all experienced, a year later, we all experienced COVID, which kind of delayed the process. But when I became mayor in January, the official rollout started in February. With this rollout, I thought it was also very unique. This is something that was very important to me, is the interaction with the citizens of Monroe as well as the professionals to gather as much information as possible to make sure we get the master plan right. Obviously, it's also an opportunity to, as I said, to look at Monroe, what we have now. It's an opportunity to educate the citizens. We've seen the growth with the state-mandated, the court-mandated COA process and the building that came with that. So we're trying to roll in education, information, and data collection in making sure that we do it right. With that, I'd like to welcome two guests that we have from the Monroe Township Utility Authority. The two gentlemen here are coordinating the efforts. We all need, it's a large orchestra, and we need excellent professionals in coordinating what we want to accomplish. I have Joe Stroing, the director for the Utilities Department, and Kevin McGowan, the Regulatory Affairs Manager. So again, welcome, gentlemen. I know you've been working diligently and very hard in regards to the coordination of the master plan. And if maybe you just want to briefly just tell me about yourselves, what your job here is in Monroe Township, and then perhaps we'll get into some questions regarding the master plan.
Very good. Want me to start?
Yes. Don't duke it out here. It's an easy question. Well, we'll start with Mr. Stroing first.
Thank you, Mayor. I am the director of the Monroe Township Utility Department, and we're responsible for the day-to-day water and sewer infrastructure within the township within that role. And I am also the director of planning, zoning, and environmental protection. And we're coordinating all of the activities that currently go on within that department, accepting all new development applications from various developers, looking at various permits and applications that our residents and businesses bring forth each and every day, and answer their questions. And both of those jobs really facilitate an excellent viewpoint of how and what we want to try to accomplish from a professional standpoint within the master plan.
Yep, very good. Kevin.
Mayor, so thanks for having both of us. So I'm the Regulatory Affairs Manager at the Utility Department. I help Joe manage our regulatory compliance to state and federal regulators when it comes to safe drinking water and wastewater treatment. I've been honored to be appointed as well to the Master Plan Subcommittee, as well as the representative from the township to the Planning Board. And so that's given me an opportunity to be part of this Master Plan process and help Joe coordinate all of those Master Plan efforts.
Fantastic. Yeah. All righty, so let's dive into some questions regarding the Master Plan, because that's what we're here for. Master plan isn't just hey, I woke up in the morning and said, let's redo the master plan, is there state guidelines or some sort of direction that's mandated for a master plan rollout?
That's an excellent question, and in reality, what we're going through right now is really the second part of the process.
Mm-hmm.
The first part of the process was a re-examination report, which was undertaken by the planning board and the planner and the professionals and the council last year. That is mandatory under statutory guidelines to be done once every 10 years. And that re-examination report takes a look at, exactly as you said, Mayor, where we are right now, and have there been any changes in either the assumptions or policies that were incorporated into the previous master plan that would have an impact on us being able to achieve the goals and objectives that were outlined in that master plan of 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And so now with the master plan, that recommendations, or those recommendations from that re-examination report, is where we are now, where we're actually opening up various elements of the master plan to evaluate it and make recommendations, obviously with the key component being public input.
So, Joe, you mentioned some entities, planning board, zoning board. Could you elaborate a little bit more and just kind of, and again, I referenced orchestra. There's, we got the horn section, we got the wood section going here, and I like that visually. I kind of understand what goes on with the master plan because there's certain things, but a lot of citizens don't understand. They think, oh, well, the council creates the master plan, or it's some outside entity. Could you kind of elaborate a little bit in regards to who's involved in this master plan update process?
Sure. So you're absolutely right, Mayor. It's not one group or one entity within the town. As Joe had mentioned, every 10 years we have to do that re-examination report. That re-examination report recommended 5 or 6 different elements of the master plan that Monroe may want to consider discussing, debating, evaluating, and possibly amending. So there's no way that one person or even a small group of people can take that on alone. So the planning board is a key component where those issues are debated as well. The mayor, as you did, appointed a master plan subcommittee and a master plan stakeholder committee to try and gather all of the different ideas from all of the different residents throughout town who are providing advice and suggestions as a way to bring all those recommendations together into this master plan process. In addition to that, we've hired an outside consultant, H2M Engineering, who planning and engineering consulting firm, who have done this type of master plan, public outreach, and drafting in many other municipalities throughout the state. And so what their job really is to do is to try and synthesize all of these different ideas and suggestions and recommendations into and bring together the subcommittees and the planning board together to try and come up with a draft recommended master plan for eventually the planning board and the council to adopt and maybe make some changes as part of our existing master plan.
Well, I definitely want to get back to H2M, the company, but you mentioned stakeholders. And if you could just kind of describe the makeup of the stakeholders group.
Sure. So you've got various all residents of Monroe from various constituencies. So some folks who work closely with the Board of Education, some folks who work closely with our parent-teacher organization, because they hear a lot of feedback from our parents and our educators and our school children here in town about what they want to see in Monroe. You've got folks who own small businesses here in Monroe because they hear a lot of feedback from their friends and neighbors and residents about what we can do in terms of economic development here in town. You've got representatives from our senior communities and representatives from our sort of the northern part of town and northeastern parts of town where there are more younger families. So it's a kind of conglomerate of different aspects of our community in order to make sure, one more way to make sure that everybody's voice is heard or that all of those ideas come out. So the stakeholder group really has a broad spectrum of individuals throughout the town.
Right, and that for me, that was kind of a recommendation by obviously the internal professionals that we have here, but H2M as well, But for me, it just made sense. I like the idea of inclusivity and to bring all of the people, those truly, citizens, the stakeholders involved with that process. Another item for me, which I saw as I was doing my own research for the master plan update, was to just check out some of the other towns in New Jersey. And one thing that I saw was a survey, an online survey. Obviously, that is currently going on now. And do you have any comments in regards to the participation in it? Anything that we've seen so far?
That's ironic, because I just was taking a look at an update that was recently provided by H2M there. And so far, we've had over 1,600 respondents to the survey. There's been 77,000 responses from those 1,600 respondents. There's been close to 5,000 additional comments that have been made, and all of that information, as Kevin said, is now being synthesized into each one of the various elements that we are reevaluating as part of the master plan to ultimately be presented before the planning board. And obviously, if there is any recommended changes to land use, which is the primary element that we are looking for in the master plan, that will ultimately go before the council for adoption and approval as well.
Well, I like the number 1,600, but I do want to see it much higher.
Absolutely. Right.
And so how can somebody watching, right now our program, saying this sounds like the most exciting thing, and I want to get involved in? How would somebody get involved with being part of that?
So that's a great question, Mayor. So in terms of the survey, if any resident goes to our main website, which is monroetwp.com, there's a color graphic right at the top that you can't miss. And if you click anywhere in that graphic, it'll take you to a separate web page where you'll be able to complete the survey. The survey takes anywhere from 15 to 25 minutes, depending on how many comments you want to provide, and it'll still continue up and running throughout the rest of the summer. So there's still plenty of time for a resident to provide that feedback. In addition to that, we've had a couple of in-person open houses, some tabling events, where people, in addition to filling out the survey, they can come and meet one-on-one with one of our professionals regarding open space or traffic or land use and zoning, and have a real back and forth and have that kind of feedback. We're having our last one on August 4th at 5 p.m. at the library.
One other option that I did want to mention for those who are not tech savvy, or if they don't want to attend one of the open houses, is they can actually call in to my office and speak to somebody and go through the survey on the telephone. I'll give you the phone number. It's 732-521-4400, and that's extension 132. Again, that's Town Hall, 732-521-4400, extension 132. You can call in and just say you want to participate in the survey, and we'll certainly take care of you. So as we move along, obviously I said the officially was kicked off in February of 2020. So where are we in the timeline, in the calendar of the rollout? Joe?
Well, we're probably just a little bit past halfway through the entire process. We have had 2 of the open houses, as Kevin has mentioned. The third one's coming in. Once that's done, there'll be one more big community-wide meeting that we'll have, and then it'll actually be up to the various groups, the master plan subcommittee, the stakeholder group, the various professionals, to really roll up their sleeves and start putting all those bits of input that we've received from all of our residents and businesses and constituencies into a master plan that will ultimately then be presented to the planning board for their review and adoption. And we anticipate that that will come in late fall, November, early December, so that it'll be done by the end of this calendar year.
Good. I like that. I like that timeline. So, as we wrap things up, what's the bottom line? What's the end result? What is the review and ultimately the approval of a master plan? What's the end result? What will it provide Monroe Township?
So, I mean, one of the things that it definitely provides is it provides a roadmap for the council to make any changes to our zoning ordinance, to rethink areas of town that they would prefer to have commercial versus residential, or areas where they can provide some more economic development opportunities. And essentially, it is a guidance document for a township to aspire to for the next 10 years until it comes time to re-examine it again. And so it's that crucial roadmap that every municipality has. But ultimately, you're right, Mayor, there has to be some action at some point, and the council and yourself will be able to use this as that roadmap to create that action.
Very good.
And the biggest thing, and really just to close, is that it will be a living and breathing document. It's not something that can just go on a bookshelf and collect dust. It's something that's going to, as Kevin said, be a guide as to what we want to be and become over the next 10 years. And it's going to be up to the two boards, the planning and zoning and the council, to actually implement that to the benefit of the residents and businesses and the people that live and work in Monroe.
Well, it was great talking to both of you in regards to the master plan. I know how much time and effort you've put into this. I'm sure the citizens that you've already talked to appreciate your activity with it, and obviously that end result. Again, for me, it's important. I think what we're seeing in Monroe Township is progress. And again, this has never happened in Monroe Township ever before, this intense rollout, this intense reach out to the community, and it's something I'm very proud to be part of. So with that, I'd like to again thank you for attending. I hope the citizens have now a better idea, and let's try to get that 1,600 participants. Let's try to get a little bit higher. Thank you so much. Be well.